Fucking Jesus. Wow, what? Thank you. What was that? Fucking hell. Because when I closed my eyes, I could see everything. Wow. Calm down. Calm down. Breathe. Thank you. If I close my eyes, guys, I'm serious. Wow, this time. Wow. As I explained to you in previous videos, the patterns. At first they weren't making a move. Then they started just coming in gradually. Right. Fucking, I cannot describe this to you. There's no cunt couldn't describe this to you. Right. So I'm fucking now, fucking conscious, right? So now I start to fucking ask it things like, look, fuck me, man, it changes. Compassion, empathy, all these, you know, God, fucking, I'm telling you, man, they're reacting to what you say, what your thought is, what your consciousness is. Fucking change. God, how do I prove that? It's fucking changing. I was in command, I was changing it. Right? So I asked it for not too dark, but I asked it about horrible. Wow, man, you don't want to go there. I cut it off straight away. I fucking changed it straight away. You know what I mean? But empathy, fuck it out. I swear, what can I swear to? I can't swear to God or what is it? Why was swearing to? Right? You're conscious. I fucking don't take my word for it. That was no more than 10 milligram. I eat 5. I whacked it again. Right, 10 milligram. Bit fucking right. I just wanted it. I told it all day long what I want. I just want the cocoon, right? Yes, the fucking cocoon, or mommy's womb, or the flower, the divine in me, whatever. I'm asking you what I'm in, and I'm doing it. Wow. It is the most glorious. Yes. Don't be fucking. I'm closing my eyes because it's beautiful. Do not be. Right. How do I do it? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Just keep it simple. Play. Show me love. Show me passion. Show me
Morning. Good morning, people. How are we? Oh, we've already got a collective of people have already arrived. Morning, Sky Blue. Morning, Matty Ross. Morning, Crazy. Morning, folks. Reporting for briefing. Reporting for discontent. Daily briefing. I see. Well, I hope everyone had a marvellous weekend. I had a very nice weekend, actually. Can everyone hear me all right in that? Just give me a shout out if you can. If you can hear me, dulcet tones. That was. I thought we'd start off this morning with one of my favourite YouTubers that no one knows about. I know about it, but nobody else does. And that was a piece of footage that he put up that I fiddled around with a little bit, to say the least. Morning, Doreen. And it was he had filmed himself minutes after hitting whatever he said, like 10 milligrams of DMT or something, you know. And loud and clear, you can hear me loud and clear. I was coming over this morning, it was like thunder and lightning this morning. It was I quite liked that. Like I'm sure it'll clear up in the day, but it was I quite like a wee bit of sort of the elements like that first thing in the morning, you know. And I had my brolly with me, which is like the amount of times that I go out and about and just get soaked because I've got brollies everywhere. I carry them, leave them. I always forget them when I go out, but I remembered my brolly today, and it's a nice one. I don't know whether do it. It's over there. It's got a wooden handle in that. It's just cheap, eh? But I like it. Quite fond of brollies. Anyway, it's 7 minutes past 10. It's the 12th of August. And here we all are, once again, reconvening. I had wanted to take some time this weekend to do a bit of prep, but because the weather was so nice, I thought, can't really be arsed. We'll just wing it, eh? We'll just wing it as per. Brollies are useless in Scotland with the wind. It's true. See those ones that you buy? You'll go to a charity shop, you know, the rain will start, you go to a charity shop and they sell them, they're like £3 or something. They last about 2 minutes, don't they? As soon as you get out in the street, and you just end up in the bin. We'll do it live. Do what live? Anyway, letter. That's it. I can't hang with the old microphone cutting off and that. Let us delve once again. Despite me having, let's just have a look at it. 18 viewers at present on Twitter. 18 lurkers. That's where the lurkers exist on X. But at some point over last week, there was one point there was like 260 people or something watching on X. But they never reveal themselves, like, you know. I have an interesting relationship with the social media sphere. A lot of people pay attention, but they didn't let me know, They didn't let me know, but I don't care, because that says more about you than it says about me. Rockhaver, thunderstorm here. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Leslie. Good cable management, though. Aye, round the back of the neck and that. Where are we? Let us go in. Oh, it's off to a flat. I believe I'm on my. Let me. Who's notifying me? Oh, this was again on the theme of X. X is dominating all things because the everyone's trying to sort of, or the sort of established voices are trying to blame Elon Musk and for everything. And the contradiction and the hypocrisy of it, in the sense that they all want to be part of this virtual public square, but they're having a big problem with the person who's in charge of it, and it's really simply a case of the fact that they just didn't like the fact that they're no longer kind of like got what they perceive as any sort of tangible reach. It's just been wiped out, and they want it shut down, basically. Right, we need to shut this down, and it's the same thing every now and again. The Liberals, they go into these kind of reactive, big reactionary displays. All right, that's it. We're leaving. We're going to Mastodon, or we're going to Sky Blue, or we're going to wherever it is we're going, and then they never go because nobody else goes, and then they come back. They come sort of reluctant. They come back to Twitter. Now they're back on X, but it's the same thing every time. I've had it with this place. Back again tomorrow to tell you how much I've had it with the place, It's all rather amusing. Despite the sort of explosion of authoritarian chat and all the rest of it, I personally find it all pretty funny. I find it all a bit of a laugh, I have to say. So this was this guy, Kevin Haig. I think it's quite interesting because Kevin Haig was one of these guys. I don't follow him. That's the thing about when I'm on this For You. I think I prefer it because, I don't know. But it's probably more folk that I wouldn't see, so I see their posts or whatever, So this guy Kevin Haig, he's kind of now just kind of like spousing the same sort of point that most of the liberal left and what have you have been saying. I think this app/site has now become intolerable. A rich man's plaything being used to promote an extreme right-wing agenda. But it's not really, is it? It's not. It's changed from how it was in recent times, where these people had kind of like I'd said the other week there, it's like it's not really changed in the way that they think it has. In some ways, it's gone back to how it kind of was in some ways, which was just a place where it was like a pub toilet with like graffiti wall, you know what I mean? Like just any mad shit on it, But yeah, there's offensive stuff there in that, but you can't really blame Twitter for that, And a lot of these, a lot of the really far right stuff, it all exists on places like Telegram and stuff, So it's true that Twitter has become, or X has, since Elon's taken over it, it has seen a sea change in the type of content that was there. Paul Mason saying the same stuff. I have no complaints if they want to flounce off, to be honest. Yeah, it's very much a sort of like, it's not fit, this isn't right. We're, our sort of echo chamber of bourgeois civilities has now been punctured, and we're having to see all this stuff that we don't want to see. But, without getting too into it right now, it is an expression of that kind of bourgeois denialism, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see this, I don't want to see that, therefore it doesn't exist. And that really, in some ways, is the essence of what's going on with this sort of like breakdown in our sort of social breakdown that's currently kind of like unfolding all up and down the land, like, Of course, not in Scotland. We don't have any of that in Scotland. We don't have any racism or fascism in Scotland. Not in Scotland. We couldn't. Oh, goodness me. So we had a lot of lefties went out at the weekend or whatever and took on the fascist protests and racist expressions of racism that were there, but there was none actually there. But they all went out anyway and showed everybody that they were prepared to come out. It was all a bit weird. It's all a bit weird. I gave them a tuppence worth, like, What time was that? I thought it was quite late, yeah. Verbosely tweeting out. The distress of the middle classes over the perceived corruption of X at the hands of the hyper-capitalist demagogue is a deeply revealing self-exposure of their socio-cultural ignorances and historical entitlements. Anything I write that looks like that, read it in a voice like that. Read it in a very posh, erudite voice. Oh, of course, absolutely. I've got a comment on X. Derek de Roxburgh. You does it, Dick McBot. You can have a doffed cap to yourself this morning for engaging on that platform. Haig, the dog food economist. Basically, Kevin Haig, the guy that was getting annoyed about how intolerable Twitter was or whatever. I believe, I actually knew that for some reason. One of these weird facts you pick up about. Haig was one of these guys that kind of made a name for himself along with all the other folk that are now writing columns for the National. Sort of during Indie Ref. Remember Indie Ref? Hey guys, remember Indie Ref? Indie Ref. And he owned a pet food company or something like that. Perfectly reasonable vocational thing to do, but he was massively anti-independence in that, and that's where he kind of rose to stature as a kind of a voice for the union. And but now even he's basically just like joining the ranks of all the other middle classes going, this is terrible, this terrible public square that I keep coming to complain about how bad it is. Like, well, fuck off then, as everyone else says, But we might find ourselves, we're probably all going to have some sort of ID card issued by the British government if we're going to go allowed to use X in the not so distant future. Probably that's probably where we're heading, Hold on a second, more comments. Kevin Haig has sparked a flurry of comments. Let me check. What is it saying there? Haig is a roaster. I remember him around the Indie Ref. I got the impression he was trying to monetize his presence through that period, but he didn't manage to do it the same way as some of the SNP. Chris Law managed it better. He got a castle. We've been here before. Let's not just. I know this. We're Scottish and that, and we love to just continually, moan about the same shit forever. But let's try and advance things a little bit. Haig just picked the wrong side. Well, let's just see where we all are. Every side. What side is there anymore? It's just everything's falling to bits, isn't it? What have we got? What's this? Oh, here's my what? What's all this, Kevin? Messages about Hagan's Mason or the new Mary Whitehouse. If you don't like it, don't watch or use it. She was just as bad. Okay, right. I'll tell you what, you, right honourable Damien, whatever, just comment publicly. Don't start sending me DMs about mad stuff like that. I can't be doing with that. Can't I be doing with that, Okay, let's have another wee look. I tell you what, I never read the article. Let me see if I can find it. What was it? Where was the? Oh, I'm gonna have to find it now. All right, here's Jim Spence. Jim Spence is like a sort of football commentator guy from Dundee. He's a bit confused, he appears a bit confused. He's another prolific tweeter, and they're always. What's he got to say about it? Here's my thought process when reading Musk or anyone else's X ramblings. That's pish. That's nonsense. He's got a point there. Not sure about that. I agree with that too. It's called being open-minded. If you don't like the site, no one's holding you hostage. Well, what were the choices? That's pish, that's nonsense. He's got a point there. I'm not sure about that. I agree with that view. I'll go with the last one. I'll choose Jim's final statement there. I agree with that view, but generally when Jim Spence tweets these days, I tend to go with his first option there, which is that's pish, because Jim Spence has taken to slavering some amount of pish of late. But here's this Kevin Hake. Oh, we're still on it. He's taken it into the next day. Astonishing how many accounts on here who are joyously gung-ho about Musk's vile tweets appear to be triggered by me simply expressing my view, not asking for censorship, mind, just expressing my view. You say that now, because you got pelters. You got pelters, pal, so you're backtracking like, I was merely just expressing my opinion. No, you weren't. You were jumping into that band of folk that think everything should be, what's this? Spence blocked me. Where's my, I need to look at it on this one, because it's easier to see. In fairness, Clifford, as Barney Farmer was saying last week, compound swear words and the cockwomble vibe, I'm pretty sure Spence blocks you just because he's an arse, but I would hover over the block button if a cockwomble appeared on my timeline. Cockwomble. John Clifford, I think John Clifford is the same John Clifford that's on that I follow. He's a good lad. And he's one of those, I believe he's one of those rare instances of a good hun. And if he is a good hun, then he will actually be sound as fuck, because I've got this theory, and it seems to be consistent. I'm pretty confident about it, There's no actual, there's no formula for it as such, but basically I've got this theory that if you know any, most huns are horrible hun, detestable bastards, right? But when you meet a good hun, right? A good hun ameliorates, compensates for all the bad huns, because good huns are generally really sound. And some of my best pals are good huns. So this is something that I've had to accept over the years, All those years of getting pish and lighters and that flung at you when you went to Ibrox. The good huns do exist. As he says here, we do exist, Bob. And it's interesting because I kind of wanted to get onto the. Is this music too loud in the background? Let me know. I'll change the volume. Morning, CC. There was a funny thing at the weekend there that appeared to be, and I noticed John had been kind of getting into a bit of. Maybe he can clarify it a little bit for me, because it's such a microculture in some ways that you don't really understand, and also it's a Ouija thing, you know what I mean, where it's Ouija's just that the whole of Scotland is as sort of aware of all the sort of stupid sort of parochial battles between Celtic and Rangers and the Old Firm and all this sort of. Most folk, I hate to break the news to you, right? Once you get past Ouija land, no one gives a fuck. In fact, most people, we kind of go out of our way to not give a fuck because it's so fucking boring, right? Everything about it, every last aspect, every last atom of it is just tedious as fuck, right? We don't care. We hate you both pretty much equally, right? You steal all our best players, you let us fucking bring them through, and then you just, fuck me, I'll take you, it's a bad player, you'll fucking have your players and that, and fucking, then you dominate everything. And it's hold on a second. It's basically tidy. I've got a message here. Edinburgh Council tuning in from Bingham. We've got the we've got the waste management crew who hopefully today, I want them to go on strike. I didn't want the unions to make a deal with the SNP. I want the bin men to go on strike and leave the place in a shithole so everyone sees how much graft they actually do. And it's another big view to the knobbers that run the place, like, you know. But let's wait and see. I think there's a meeting of minds, if that's what you can call them today. There is a perhaps even right now they're having a discussion about how much. But give them the money that they deserve. Give them the same amount of money that they get in England. Like, apparently that's the vibe. Like, give them the same money. Jim Slavin, I listened to Jim. I did post it on my X account. Was Jim Slavin, and for his All Hail the Pod, had interviewed a couple of the guys working in the waste management, and they were talking about, you know, it's a really hard job, and these guys are working right into their 60s, and they're covering a lot of miles every day, and they're out there in all weathers, and like, people think it's an easy job. It's not an easy job at all, certainly by the sounds of things. Thank you, my audio level is okay, good to know. Where were we? Huns. The good Hun theory needs to be peer reviewed and published, right? Well, fucking right. Well, we need to imagine that, right? You've done your PhD on like good Huns, like, you know. Imagine having that, a PhD on good Hunnery. Right, let's. I want to check the thing about the Huns because I thought it was quite funny, because it was like. And of course, those without Kevin's great intellectual capacity can hope to remain unradicalised by remaining on it, right? Where's that? I have to go to my own page though. I tell you what, see at the weekend, I'll play some footage of it before we're out, but we were at the Meadows. Mark McGee and Brian from Sovereign Scotland, like, they brought a sound system up, and I was annoyed not to be able to get there. I couldn't get there yesterday because a whole bunch of the Rapper crew were there. I saw some clips, it looked great, but the Saturday was brilliant. Mark brought a whole bunch of great artists, and to my detriment, I didn't promote this enough myself. I should have been more proactive. I was a bit distracted last week, but it was really good. And then in the evening, I went to see the Mickey Nines at Stramash, and brilliant. I'd never seen them before, and I would highly recommend you check out the Mickey Nines, because I forget the name of the front man, but he's got it, man. He's got the whole package, like, you know what I mean. He's absolutely brilliant, and they were fantastic, you know. So that was a good vibe. We'll get on to the weeds in a minute, actually, because I was going on about the weeds, and this was something I wanted to make a point about, but it was where this was John was going on about. Jesus Christ. Here we are, right? So the Jim Moynihan guy was going like, there is no far right in Pollock Shields. The pics doing the rounds was the Union Bears. The Union Bears, eh? Oh, hi, Union Bears walking their usual route from Hampton to the pubs on Paisley Road West. It's good that people are. I know that Jim doesn't speak exactly that, but he is a Ouija, so I'll just, for effect, like, it's good that people are vigilant, but this will be happening until October when Rangers are at home. Don't panic. And I was just saying that, like, you know, we've had this sort of flurry of the middle classes, like, oh, we mustn't, because obviously they were just like anybody that was working class in the recent weeks, just like everyone that's working class is now a far right racist Nazi, like, you know what I mean? Because she's fucking like anybody in tracky bottoms and a hoodie or something that they see, it's like, you're all fucking Nazis now, right? So the the anti-racists and the middle classes were they were on high alert because there was a bunch of Rangers fans coming out of a football match. They'd been at Hampden. They can't play at home because their stadium's shite or something. So they've had to play at Hampden because they can't afford to get their stadium fixed and finished in time for the season's open, right? So anyway, they went to Hampden, played Motherwell, beat them at Hampden. But then when they were leaving, there was like a big furore, and like people were posting images saying that the far right were marching. The far right, and this is the middle classes who, saying, well, so I was just basically going like, the Bulls were left. We must be careful not to prejudice all the working class as far right racists. Huns play at Hampden. Emergency. Nazi Panzer Division sighted at Pollock Shields. I'm allowed to laugh at my own jokes, right? Because I write them, right? But it was just that sense of like, the totally like panic stations because some football fans are now walking about the street. And it's interesting because the same thing, there was footage, I saw it down south. There was footage of there was some anti-racist kind of like anti fascist protest thing went out, and I'll try and find it. But they had gone out and well, this was the national thing, this is what I wanted to find out. They had gone out and they were going past a Witherspoons, and they started kind of like goading. There was some guys that were just going to a football match, and they started goading them, and then like they'd obviously had a few pints or whatever. They were just sort of slagging them, but this was apparently a victory for Antifa or something like that or whatever. But really, it was just a kind of another embarrassing self-exposure of these sort of lefty types that are clueless, and they just demonise anyone that's not like them, excuse me, sorry, just so yeah, that's what we saw that kind of unfold. Right, this was the thing I wanted to check was, so the question is, are all Huns Nazis? Because there's some sections of the culture believe that they are, like, Elon Musk knew. I mean, we hate the National, but it's probably not. It's probably a good place to mine, especially as unprepared as I am this morning. It'll probably be a go-to place to mine content. New, Elon Musk has labelled Humza Yousaf a scumbag. This is pretty good, Maybe we'll get a charity boxing match or something like that between them. Maybe we can raise funds for, like, Humza can raise funds for Palestine, and Musk can raise funds for Israel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they need it. Like, they need a few more bob. Like, A scumbag, as he responded to a legal warning from the First Minister's team. The billionaire Twitter ex-owner said he dared the SNP MSP to sue him. Read more. I don't know if I can be arsed reading more about this, but I mean, it's kind of like, it's quite clever of Yousaf. It's quite clever of Yousaf to shoehorn his name at a time where there's so much chaos and madness and competition, and I think that's what we're seeing as well. Is we're seeing a sort of essentially a lot of competition for people trying to get themselves into the sort of the news cycle, if you like. All of these new MPs that have been elected to Westminster, they're all displaying the same thing. They're all online. This is this thing, you know. It's like this idea that they're all angry with X, but they're all continually on it and producing material and uploading it to X, because it is the marketplace that they have to come to. I was making this point. I've been making it for ages, really, but I was making it, you know, about 4 or 5 months ago. I went on about it a bit, where I think it was a Scottish journalist, I think Danny Garavelli, had written a long article. It was another tedious thing about sex versus gender, you know, like this bollocks debate. You know, we've got a genocide unfolding continually behind us. You know, Israel just murdered 100 people the other day. They blew them to bits to such an extent that pretty much every single body is unidentifiable. Like, none of the family members of anybody that's left is like able to even identify them. And in the background of our, you know, that's an annihilation that's supported in both via arms, ideologically and otherwise, by our own society, our own government, our elected administration. They're complicit with it. But meanwhile, our most important thing in our culture to sort of obsess about is whether or not a woman can have a cock or something. Do you know what I mean? And this is the thing that seems to be holding everyone's attention, of course, because that's far more important than the indiscriminate murder of innocent human beings. You know, that pales into insignificance in comparison. Like, you know, somebody sent me a message saying, Master Mong must be heaving. Like, yeah, this Mastodon site. You know what I mean? Like everybody was apparently going to. Nobody's gone there, have they? But this Garavelli wrote this article about how she had gone for, like, you know, a very edifying, you know, constitutional, you know, she'd gone for a drive and she'd gone up Ben Ann, she'd gone for a walk. This was her big article, you know. I mean, like, well, Sunday morning I went for a wonderful bracing walk up Ben Ann. It was beautiful, and there was young families and old people, they stopped on the path to let us pass, and we made our way to the top of the summit, and we looked out over Scotland, and everything was beautiful and wonderful, and what a beautiful, wonderful life this is. And she came back down from having this beautiful walk, and then she got into her car, and she logged on to Twitter, where she was exposed to some rather controversial tweets by J.K. Rowling, and then this formed the basis of her article. But really, the basis of her article, and then the reaction to the article became about how the reaction to the article was the reaction on Twitter. So it was about how much kind of abuse and stuff she had then taken as a result of writing this article on Twitter. But the thing that seemed to, like, the thing that's missed, the thing that I found quite intriguing is that, like, you know, what Danny Garavelli was essentially saying was that she went for a walk after, and she had a nice walk, and when she came back off that nice walk, she got into her car and she turned the radio on and she tuned it into a particular station, and she got offended by what she heard, and it ruined her day. So then she wrote an article about what she heard on that radio station, but because nobody gives a fuck about reading stupid articles in newspapers anymore, she decided to spend all her time on that radio station, publishing the article there, and then discussing it on that radio station. So if any, you know, I'll let everybody else just reflect on the implications of this, but this is essentially like sort of one small example of what we've got, this whole thing going on. You know, you've got all these people who feel like they've got an entitlement to have their opinion heard because they're a journalist or a commentator or something, and it's like they've had this period of time where they've been able to exist in a particular structure, the way that media is produced, in the way that it's disseminated, in the way that people receive it. But that's changed. And that's changed astronomically, and it's changed very rapidly. And what we're seeing is a kind of meltdown across the board from all of these people, where they're sensing, they're feeling that their reach and their influence and their ability to communicate is being curtailed or impeded in ways that it previously wasn't. And they're also subject to views and ideas that they didn't feel that they should have to hear before, but they've still got to go to that marketplace, if you like, to trade these ideas. And next to them trading their idea about, you know, how we should conduct ourselves. Sorry, this music's kind of annoying me a wee bit there. Anyway, I kind of digress a bit there, but it's like it's basically there's a strange kind of contradiction or hypocrisy is kind of running through at present through those who have held kind of long-standing positions in media right across the board. And I actually think it's good. I won't lie. I think, you know, I spoke about Musk the other day. I gave an opinion, a general opinion on him. But I personally, I think what X is quite interesting, and I think it's. I don't like seeing. I don't like seeing racism or you know. I don't like seeing the footage from the. I was going to say, like, I don't like seeing this footage from the conflict in Ukraine, where there's drones killing people, and then you see a lot of, like, it's always like Russian soldiers that are committing suicide and stuff, and it's such a weird thing. It's like I might not like seeing it, but then I'm conscious of the fact that I've actually followed some accounts that put this material up because you know, I'm kind of you know, it's real, it's happening. It's the same as a genocide or anything. So it's like, I think it's important to kind of like, we might not like seeing things, but you know, to be aware that they're going on that's another question altogether. Anyway, what's being said here? I'll get back. We need to get back to the. I need to get back to figures within the Scottish independence movement have shown support for Humza Yousaf as his war of words, Elon Musk, continued on Sunday. The Twitter ex-owner had labelled the former First Minister super racist. Full story here. This is what they're going to mine this, aren't they? They're going to make this the thing. Here's the thing about Humza Yousaf and what have you. There is that speech, this classic speech that everyone keeps going to, where Yousaf's going like, you know, white, that's been mocked and parodied or what have you. And it's the thing about it though, that's kind of peak identity politics. When Yousaf, that speech was so flawed in terms of like what it actually meant, and those who criticise, you know, the critiques of that tweet, that speech, you know, there was a lot of validity in the people that want to criticise. It was just a sort of performative piece of identity politicking, if you like, sort of very neoliberal left pish, you know, and so it was full of holes, and it was a stupid kind of speech to make, you know, and it kind of opened himself up for being criticised in that form. So it's there, you know. It's like people will always reach for that and say, well, you know, you appear kind of racist here, and in some ways, I think it's a fair argument. It was ridiculous, ill-conceived speech, and it's only going to antagonise sections of the culture, you know. It was opportunism. The National just content farming that for clicks. Yes, I mean, but the National is awful, isn't it? There aren't really words to describe how bad it actually is. Yet here we are. There we go. Perhaps this is an example. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's like, I hate it, I can't keep away. I've been in a few relationships like that, to be honest. Instead of, oh, thank you, Katrina. Katrina's given me some plaudits there. But what is the actual story? Is this? Well, who are the independent supporters that are rallying around? Let's have a look, shall we? Look at how they've just gone the same way as like the Evening News or the Scotsman or whatever. It's like it's unreadable, isn't it? It's like all of these news sites. It's obvious you've not got any money, have you? You've got to completely and utterly. You've got to give up everything for East Anglia University. Look at this unreadable garbage. You know what I mean? With these pop-ups. You try to read an article after the first like paragraph or the leader, like Adam Robertson you got like seniors aged 50 to 80 with no life insurance could get this. Is like, immediately and then it's just an advertorial shit fest, like, you know. This is this is just a mess, like, you know. And they all think they're really serious, like, I'm a journalist. Are you? Aye, no bother, pal. This is nipping my head that this keeps cutting out. Figures within the Scottish independence movement have shown support for Humza Yousaf as his war of words with Twitter X owner Elon Musk continued on Sunday. The latest exchange happened on Sunday morning, with reports suggesting the former First Minister's legal team had issued a warning to Musk after he labelled Yousaf super racist. Super racist. Earlier this week, Yousaf used an appearance at the Fringe. I think that's another thing about the death of the festival and the death of the Fringe, right? And I said this last year as well. It's like, there was a time, for the vast majority of the time that the Fringe existed, that the idea of a politician being at the Fringe would be kind of weird. And there might be like a picture in the paper going, look at this twatty politician that appeared at the Fringe. Or like was seen at the Fringe. Now, like, a whole section of the Fringe is just taken up by politicians doing like chat conversations and stuff, like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not the look you're looking to have, like, if you want to claim you're the most dynamic arts festival in the world. Like, here's a plethora of boring twats talking shite to each other. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you've suddenly got a large section of this greatest arts and culture festival in the world that's devoted to letting neoliberal wankers talk shit about their short-lived careers or their crappy decisions that they made whilst in office, it's like, what? Sorry, this isn't really the art and culture that I came for, like, you know. I mean, they always said, like, you know, politics is show business for ugly people, like, you know what I mean? It's just, I think it's just descended into show business in general now, you know what I mean? I don't really care whether, I mean, who was it that we were talking about there? Yousaf. Yousaf's not ugly, you know. I know some ladies that like were taking those sultry eyes, you know, those big lips, like, you know what I mean? It's like some of the ladies do have a penchant for Yousaf, like, and he's a total shagger as well, wasn't he? It was well known that he was infidelis. He had partaken in much extramarital activity. He accused Musk of having amplified white supremacists, but like, all right, okay, we'll get into it in a second, right? He accused Musk of having amplified white supremacists and highlighted how he had claimed civil war is inevitable in the wake of far-right riots in England and Northern Ireland. It's this thing, isn't it? It's like, as many people say, Musk is, Jordan Peterson. Personally, I think Jordan Peterson is an absolute tit, right? I mean, he says a few interesting things now and again, but he's also a total grifter. But people are devoted. Oh, Jordan Peterson's is a great intellect. I don't think Jordan Peterson's a great intellect. But people are entitled to, say things or believe what they want about people. It's very much this kind of. It's the crypto-fascism of the neoliberal left. It's like they're very into policing language and policing who's allowed to say what. This is a kind of a common theme with them. In the wake of far-right riots in England and Northern Ireland, responding on Twitter X. Just call it X, right? It's called X, although I suppose when you go to it, it's twitter.com. Musk said the former SNP leader is super racist and that Scotland gave him everything. What? Scotland gave him everything and yet he loathes white people. Yousaf then again took to social media to describe Musk as a dangerous race baiter who must be held to account for his actions. Oh, here we go, here's the tweet. Elon Musk is a dangerous race baiter who must be held to account for his actions. I can't think what it is that upsets him so much about a brown Muslim progressive politician. But his billions won't stop me calling out his support for the far right. You go get him, Humza. Many took to social media in support of Yousaf. Many, including SNP Pete Wishart, who said on Twitter, "What a dismal place Musk has created on here. Full of peddlers of misinformation, the far right and abusive anonymous trolls." It's like, you didn't have to be on Twitter, pal. Why don't you just fuck off? That I got you. You didn't have to be here, eh? Just on you go. But then nobody would hear the shite that I talk. That's right, eh? That's correct, eh? We stick it out because of years of building followings. No, you all they blocked everybody and they got rid of everybody. We stick it out because of years of building followings, its reach and the hope that something might change. Is that right? Aye, no bother. Seems little chance of that now. Oh, that's a shame. Elsewhere, writer and broadcaster, Alistair Heather commented. He said, Alistair Heather commented, "Man, I can't hear it. That's what Alistair Heather said. I can't. I think Alistair Heather's in charge of my microphone. I can't look at it. That's aye. Sunlight, aye. Fucking. No, he isn't. Hell, whom's a sound? Elon, isn't he? He put a picture of himself up. Comment. Hey, fucking mental that it's come to this. Fuck, I'm not even reading any of that. Scots. Fucking Iona Fife. What is this? What is this place? What is any of it? This is a news article. What was it? It said, what was the headline? Support. 3 of our pals said something. Fucking hell, eh? That Alistair Heather guy, he works for John Nicholson or someone, doesn't he? He's one of these fannies that he works for the SNP, and he's a Scottish writer and broadcaster. He talks in that fucking affected tones until he doesn't have to. I'm still looking at this terrible. Right, so John, did we get to the end of it, by the way? Did we decide? Are all Huns Nazis? What's that? Billy Kay, he's another. This is from 2 days ago. It's a deliberate undermine Scottish confidence. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with Scottish exceptionalism. I can't be bothered with it. They're just muppets, like, they're just morons. Tell you what, take a wee break. I'll be back. What's happened to my tunes there? I'll be back shortly.
Make me jump up on it, jump up on it. You know, jump up on it. Got a brand new style, make me jump up on it, jump up on it, jump up on it. Never move weak, never move slow. Hold up every.
Oigan, ocupan chamba, ocupamos a 3. Vámonos. Súbanse, súbanse. Vamos a ir a Disneylandia. ¿Se animan? ¿Disneylandia? Vamos a ir a Disneylandia y le pagamos por el día. Okay. ¿Pero qué vamos a hacer allá? Disfrutar el... I'm coming in hot. Yeah, come in. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know. Oh, Sunday, countdown, gotta hold each other's hands.
Proszę.
Time to say goodbye. Poesie che non ho mai. I know this much is true.
Right, I'm back. I've returned, and oh wait, this was quite funny. Let's stop there for a second. Is that on? This was went into Lowe's and learned that the Reaper has a Bluetooth option.
There you go.
Motherfucker. What's up, nigga? Gangsta rap, nigga.
That would be quite. This is the sort of mischief that I would have got up to if I was a young mischief maker, I have to say. Let's go back to this. Macapella. This is this thing, right? So there they are, the main grifters of the independence industry. Unsurprisingly, not one of them has an independent thought in their heads. So this was so all right, okay. So Alistair Heller goes, and then Iona Fife goes the better version. So she was in there as well. So Alistair chose not to include Iona in that. So there's obviously a bit of tension there between these stars of the indie ref, like, you know, or I think they're kind of post indie ref stars. I mean, how bad do things have to be that you decided to make that your thing, like, you know, the failed Scottish independence project. Anyway, the weeds. That's what I wanted to go to. Local news. I think, yeah, you're right. Okay, so the other week there. Let me see if I can do two things, if I can multitask. Musk should just ban Humza for lols. Yeah, that. See you later. It's just like James Whale with the red button, wouldn't it? Like, you know what I mean? The hope that something might change. It's the guy who's been an MP for about 20 years and done fuck all. Absolutely, you know? Really, if I had one, there's that, like, I don't want any. We don't want to populate Holyrood with any more of these Labour fannies. You just have to look at the Muppets that have gone down to Westminster, and it's like it's only going to be an even lower calibre of them in at Holyrood. But then you'll have all these SNP cats that have been dumped from Westminster, and they're all going to want to be thinking, all right, we'll get a gig at Holyrood. It's like, stop voting for party politicians, you know. Please stop voting for party politicians. It's not very sensible, all right? It's a rigged game. It's a joke, yeah? You're voting for Muppets. Get rid of them all. The weeds, the weeds. When we went, actually, I'll play this first. I was like, let's keep it light. I went when we went to like I say, we were at the Meadows on Saturday, and there was loads. I'll try and compile a few of the wee clips that I got tomorrow or something. But there was loads of great people. Lindsay Dre was there; she was great. Gyro Babies did a wee thing; they were brilliant. There was poetry. There was like, but honestly, all the people that got up and performed were brilliant, really good, and it was just a generally great vibe. But there's this one guy came along who was kind of passing by, and he's like, "Can I do a few songs or whatever?" And he was absolutely brilliant. He was called Oleka Siren, and so this was
after we were gone all night.
Look at that
looking
thing.
for bugs. Painted grass.
That's pure.
Put
That's
your
total
finger on
DMT. Like, you know what I mean? If you get yourself onto the tryptamine, you start seeing things like that. This was this guy.
They call them strangers. Because anybody who talked to them end up in some danger. And the time is coming, rising like the dawn of a red sun. If you fear dying, then you're already dead. And the time is coming. Let's It's like telling a soldier to drop his weapon, shooting him and telling him to get to stepping. Now obviously they came to portion up his fortune, and it sounds to me like old robbery extortion, cause it's the same game, and you can't reform them. And the time is coming, rising like the dawn of a red sun. If you fear dying, then you're already dead. And the time is coming, rising like the dawn of a red sun. If you fear dying, then you're already dead. If you guys want to follow me, I go by Oleka Siren, which is OLEKASY. I should have a sign, really. Behind you! Behind you!
This guy knows he can sing low, he can sing high, he can rap, and play the cello, and then he gets the... That's how you end the set, just like... You see one of those flying jets with colours coming at them?
Yeah, so it was classic, you know, like, I don't know if that might be, it might have not been in sync, that. Can somebody tell me if it was in sync or not? Because sometimes when you go to Instagram, I don't know. Anyway, that guy was happening, and it was classic. He finished his set, and then there was like this fly jets just like flew past right at the end of his set there, you know. But he was absolutely brilliant, and it was just another spontaneous moment that happened. And but he was happening. But there was loads of great artists on at the day. And total hats off to Mark McGee for just pulling that out the hat and bringing all these brilliant people through. And like I say, we sit with the Mickey Nines, which Mark performed with in the evening. They were brilliant as well, like, you know. It's 7 minutes past 11. Shall we go and look at TikTok for a minute? That might be something to do. Strange, deadly, dangerous thing to do is to push that button. It was in sync. All right, cool. So we'll shall we have a wee dive in there for a second and see what all right, okay, I'll push the button. I'll push the TikTok button. I didn't really use the TikTok, but I do look at it for the madness that it can...
When are you going to realise that the protests and the riots in the UK are just one big distraction? Isn't it funny? And I'm saying this as a Muslim man. Isn't it funny? Every time the people come together and they unite and they say, hold on, these people above us, these people of power, they're actually screwing us. The cost of living's gone through the roof. We're sending our tax money over to the unaliving of little kids. Hold on a second. I don't want to stand for this. Everybody starts uniting. And again, they divide. Can't you guys see the truth? If they wanted to stop the riots, if they wanted to stop the protests, they could do it in one day. They could do it in one day if they really wanted to stop it, but they don't want to stop it, do they? And it works every single time. Every time the power feel a bit of heat, they do the same programming, they do the same agendas, they do the same thing. They convince you, oh, his race, her religion, her this, her that. They're not the same as me. Get them out. They program you like this. And you people bite every single time. And they make you divide yourself between race, religion, all of this, so you can never come together and you can never realize that these guys are screwing us. Because if you did realize that these guys are screwing us, something dangerous would happen. Everybody would unite, and instead of rioting and protesting on each other, because we can riot and protest, instead of doing it on each other, we'd start doing it on them. And that is a big danger to them. When are you going to realize that the protests and the riots in the UK...
I'm sorry, why did nobody tell me about these SPFs? Also,
Are you somebody else who's selling half the wardrobe on Vinted and need to get yourself some bags? Then look no further.
Okay, guys, I have no bumhole. So let's talk about it.
No problem. So you want us to go back to our country? That is fine. We'll go back. We'll leave you here with our Indian restaurant. You can run it, eat our food, lovely food. Our China.
Some people to pay well over the odds to book their test through brokers on social.
Mark Zuckerberg famously said that the motto of Facebook is move fast and break things. And this was considered a heroic new stance. These young people were coming in, they were breaking up the... Mark Zuckerberg.
What was his name?
Mark Zuckerberg, faking up the way the world was. And they were making huge sums of money out of it. They were inventing new ideas and they were sweeping away everything from the past. And so you disrupt the bread and breakfast space with Airbnb. You disrupt the car hire and taxi services with Uber. You disrupt. And we're now living in a broken world because things have been disrupted and they've not been replaced with anything like.
And they've been disrupted by people who just want to be very, very rich.
Yes.
And not to do one thing superbly well.
And the betrayal, to me, the betrayal, the hypocrisy, whatever you want.
I mean, it's like they're just talking about capitalism, aren't they? Just basically going like, this is, you know, a bit like confused old cats going, it's terrible how it is and that. Yeah, but I mean, it's like, you know, they'll still fucking like probably vote Tory. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I find I can't really deal with TikTok.
You know you want one. You know that the ones that you had when you...
I don't. But this is where everyone exists, isn't
These
it?
guys are making this one too easy for me, you know. Yesterday we had Andrew, yeah? Today we got...
I am an immigrant, yeah? But I am legal immigrant. Just I want to say something. So, before I came here, I got visa. I paid £2,600 first visa. Then the government gave me 2 years, 10 months. Before the 2 years, 10 months finish, and I apply extended visa.
I can't listen to the whole thing.
I want to make a point about racism, so now...
Okay, well, these people are
wasn't
making
the brightest spark on the planet, Sid. No, he was...
Do I actually pay you to...
These things are just made up, like, you know
It's
what I
fair
mean?
to say that the UK is, for me, personally speaking, one of the most racist places in the whole of the world. There are places that have got a big problem with racism, but the UK like to stand on this whole attitude of, yeah, we're not racist. It's almost like they're too posh to admit that they have a bigger problem at hand. Now, it's all good and well that we sit down and we say, oh, let's have some conversations together. Let's find ways that we can find peace and unity. Yeah, united we stand, divided we fall. But the honest truth of it all is this. We've been doing this for years, back and forth, like Tom and Jerry, and nothing changes. And you know why nothing changes? It's because the punishments, because of, you know, the guys that make the rules are not coming down hard enough.
Okay, that's one perspective to have. Don't know if I would concur fully with that. Right, it's 12 minutes. I tried to look at TikTok there. It's a weird place. It's an odd place, TikTok, like, you know. Let us return briefly then to the extremities of X. Let me go to the... I'm in the follow. I was in that. What's this? Jim Spence talks sense. It's hard to believe it. Amazing story on Women's Hour about the woman who bankrolled the Wicker Man. Look forward to seeing the documentary about it. I don't know anything about it, but about the woman. But what I do know is that that's a film from an era where you did have kind of cultural entrepreneurs, for want of a better term. There seemed to be a healthy degree of that in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, where there were people who were willing to spend money on cool stuff, whether it made money or not. Handmade films responsible for things like With Nell and I, these type of things, Bruce Robinson's work. And I imagine it's maybe something similar where there's like a sort of independent entrepreneurial person with a bit of vibe about them. They've got a bit of loot, and they're not looking for some crazy profit or return on something. They're just into like try to get money together for a cool project and make something. That's something that there's a complete dearth of now in our contemporary culture. You know, I'd like to see more philanthropic dollar thrown into independent artists and people who haven't got any sort of larger commercial backing. But there's many things in that period. I would argue, in fact, it's not just me that would argue this. Fisher himself, Mark Fisher made this. He was kind of the guy that kind of pioneered that whole methodology of recognising that the neoliberal project is primarily a project of consciousness suppression. So, you know, that extends to all areas of culture, really. If you think about, I'll dig it out. We'll look at it this week. Is that Fisher gave a great talk about 10 years or so ago. He was talking about the types of consciousness that were flourishing in the sort of late 70s. There was a lot of, you know, there was like feminist consciousness. There was like the R.D. Laing was plying his trade round about then as well, with those sort of new forms of thinking about how you did psychotherapy and psychiatry. And psychedelic consciousness was also kind of prevalent, and the neoliberal project was basically a kind of screwing the lid on top of that and shutting that all down. And now here we are where, you know, we know about McDonald's and we know about sort of like banal, superficial consumer nonsense, but we don't really get a wide option of rich cultural experiences, and it's very difficult to make anything or to gain funding for anything that doesn't conform to what already exists, because those that gatekeep in these areas they're not willing to take any risks. I mean, I'm just speculating on that thing about what Mae Mills Thomas is saying. And Mae Mills Thomas herself is obviously an incredibly talented Scottish female filmmaker and film producer, director and filmmaker, so I bet if she thinks it's good, I bet it is good. I don't have any doubt about that whatsoever. Here's something. This is an example of what's this? The far left. You know, that kind of bothers me, right? Here's something. Another wee thing that bothers me. It's like don't call them the far left. They're not far left. They're the neoliberal left. They're identity politicking products of neoliberalism. They've got nothing to do with the far left. You want to know what the far left looks like? You're looking at the far left right here. Me, I'm the far left. I'm the far left, right? Class politics, anti-capitalist, far left. Not these people. These people aren't far left. These people haven't got any interest in class politics. That's why they obsess over everything but class politics. Right, that's a good indication of the fact that they're not far left. They're products of neoliberalism. Their ideology is a product of neoliberalism. They are victims of neoliberalism in many ways. But the case in, you know, as a point to expose that is, here they all are. They've gone to reform. They've got to, and they've got their SWP banners that get made, the placards that get made overnight by these opportunists. And how many of those people there they've got their Palestine flags and that. I bet you significant numbers of those people voted for Keir Starmer's Labour Party. So, like, the hypocrisy is off the scale. It's off the charts, like, you know. And the other thing that they're doing is they're thirsty for authoritarian measures to be brought in and clamped down and all of these, you know, ne'er-do-wells or what have you. So they're kind of assimilating to the manufactured moralism of the most immoral people currently breathing on the planet, like, you know. So you want a plastic administration of neoliberal bureaucrats. You want to defer to them to produce authoritarian measures because they're in charge and they're the state, and you want the state to crack down hard on these people that you see as a blight on society. But these same people that you want to do that are the ones that are complicit with the genocide in Palestine. It's like, how do you figure that shit out? Answers on a postcard, because I've not got a fucking Scooby, to be honest. So I just find these people, you know, it's just utterly hypocritical, like, you know. The weeds, right, that's the before we go, I'll tackle the weeds. The weeds once again, I'll have a quick look at the weeds. And I'm going to start writing things down, because more than 700 migrants arrived in the UK after crossing the Channel on Sunday on 11 boats. New figures show the highest since Labour came to power. Well, you know, this is the media obviously stoking things as well. What have we got here? Caravaggio. Morning. Will you be watching the Trump-Musk interview? Will it elevate X to new socio-political heights? They are hungry for gammon flesh. No chips, no fried egg, no pineapple rings. It's pretty funny, Caravaggio. You know, it's true. It's like the simplicity. You know, when they write, Angela Nagle wrote a book about 7 years ago or something, or 8 years ago, called Kill All Normies. Right? It was a brilliant book. It was a short book, and she kind of observed this thing that was emergent at that point, which was that the alt-right, remember they used to call them the alt-right, that the alt-right had basically it's all really, genuinely, it's really interesting, right? She was the first to kind of recognise that the alt-right, the sort of Pepe the Frog type folk and all the rest of it, or the folk that had come from 4chan, she observed that the alt-right at that point had essentially commandeered the transgression that the left were traditionally synonymous with. So if you grew up in the 70s or the 80s or whatever, and maybe in the 90s, and you had this sort of lefty comedians, it was always those of the left that were willing to kind of push the envelope in terms of what was morally or socially acceptable and what was risky or otherwise. And, you know, some of these people were opportunists themselves and careerists. That was evident on reflection when you look back. But it was also like, you know, it was the type of, it was the area of expression that I grew up kind of with some form of an affection for. I think most people that like satire or comedy understand that it's necessary to not be kind of, you know, conditioned or restricted in terms of where you might want to go with something. You know what I mean? You're supposed to make people feel a bit uncomfortable if you're going to make a sort of wider point, you know. But because the left, the woke left or the neoliberal left, it seemed to come out of this sort of emerge from maybe like 2012 onwards or something. They were very censorious and they were very keen to no platform people, and it was all about, you know, offence and feeling offended, and we needed to consider about how people felt, and we had to have this kind of overly kind of conscientious idea about how other people's feelings and thoughts and stuff. But this was obviously, has been proven to be an extremely oppressive, well, it's essentially what the Vampire Castle is. So, but Angela Nagle had written this book, like I say, called Kill All Normies. And she had, it was in the wake of that Gamergate thing, and she had done this kind of deep dive into 4chan and this emergent online behaviour of the alt-right. And she basically identified that they were miles ahead, or not even so much miles ahead, but what they were doing it was basically like the left can't meme and the right can, and the right were far more willing, even though traditionally the values that were normally associated with the right are traditional conservatism or right sort of general right-wing kind of reactionary kind of like moralising kind of positions. The right had kind of adopted this kind of like mockery and satire of the left, what the left had become, and the left had no defence for this because the left had been kind of purged of all kind of nuanced voices, and it was very just much like, what are your pronouns, and if you don't have them then you're not part of this gang, fuck off, which is the abandonment of essentially class. So by removing class from their kind of cultural agency, if you like, they had left themselves completely and utterly bereft of defence. And that's why the alt-right became, the rise of it was there, but a lot of it was built on the fact that it was like taking the piss in a way that the left would previously have taken the piss. And so that was an interesting thing to develop. And I can't mind why I started talking about it. Emasculate, divide, emasculate, divide, and mislabel working class men. Basically, yeah, there's a lot. That's the thing as well. But the contempt. That's right. We were talking about the. We were talking about those protesters that it's very simplistic. It's like, oh, we need to go and attack reform. We need to go. Oh, look at us. It's flawed, man. It's properly flawed. Let me just scan down here. Right, that's it. That's right. I wanted to go to the weeds. Somebody's gay granddad from World War I. That's nice. There you go. Folk going on about that. Right, the weeds. We're going back to the weeds. Because even I was pretty shocked about this. So you remember last week I was speaking to the council workers. So if you live in Edinburgh or you're under the jurisdiction of Edinburgh Council, you're probably aware of the fact that there's just weeds everywhere. They haven't been tending. They're bringing in £110 million worth of cuts. Kill All Normies, Matty. Yeah, the book is called Kill All Normies, and it's a brilliant read, and it's just as relevant now as it was then. It's probably more of a historical document now, to be honest. Yeah, so the whole thing is crazy. It's insane. It's insane. So this is on the Isle of Leith, which is a classic Facebook group. If you're a part of it, it's a place of complete continual. But it's like, since the council or the clownsel are absolutely useless, me and my brother took things into our own hands. Corey, anybody know how to send an invoice to Edinburgh Council? But check it. That's the Leith. That's the pavement. This is a real thing in Edinburgh, right? And it's all over the town. It's all over the city. But it's like, that's the state. Look at it. Check that. And wherever you go. But what the guy was telling me last week when I seen the guy was that the reason it's so bad, I don't know whether this is, he was an agency working guy, but he was telling me that they don't use any pesticides now because a councillor complained because their dog got sick or something, so they were like, right, no more pesticides because there's one councillor. And now they've only got a cut down team. They've only got 18 guys for the whole of the city, but they've got to go out with like the whole things, like raking the weeds and that, which is obviously like a much more time consuming process. But so that's basically the state. If anybody's watching in your local or whatever, send me in pictures of the weeds. Send me pictures of the weeds in your vicinity. Oh look, Kevin Haig's blocked me now. So he says he didn't like that. Kevin Haig didn't like my comment on his. I mean, it wasn't even that personal to him, you know what I mean? Well, I suppose it was to somewhere or other, but like, you know, blocked. I don't want to hear you. Why don't you just block Elon Musk? I mean, I'm not being funny, like, you know. That's what they were always saying to do. Just block them, just block them. Well, block Elon Musk then. We're a Weed Watch channel now, yeah. Tonight on Weed Watch, sad news for Funksters. James Brown and Zanny have hung up the wah-wah pedals, and they've disbanded after. Barry Gordon says, after 19 years, 2.5 albums, we'd make My Bloody Valentine blush, and 100 musicians, military service for Funketeers, James Brown and Zanny are finally giving up the funk. Big thank you to all the folks on here who have supported us over the years. Stay funky. And they were brilliant, and they did all that stuff for the Boy Hamish, for Average White Band and that, and they were great. If you ever got the opportunity to see James Brown and Zanny, you were in for a treat, because they were consistently great. Eddie, my mate Eddie, played the keys with them and wrote a lot of stuff for them and that, and they were brilliant, man. They were a great unit. I can't remember the name of the girl singer. Baz would have to remind me. I went to Glasgow. It must have been about 2015 or 2014. I can't remember. And I saw them. I saw them at somewhere in Glasgow, and the lassie that they had singing with them at that point, she was brilliant, man. She was absolutely superb. But like he says, they went through a raft of people that played with them, like, you know. I had to have a go at this guy because Councillor Finlay McFarlane, who's a local councillor from Timbukfuck or Ayrshire or something, like, you know what I mean. Cracking day for Edinburgh Council's live music encounters initiative at the Ross Bandstand. Totally free. Wayne's dancing. Wayne's. They're just bands, mate. Come on. Fucking Wayne's, man. You know what I mean? It's too much, this Ouijaism. The Ouijaification of Scotland can just get to fuck, right? There are no Waynes, pal. There are no Waynes. I mean, John White, I mean, it's an image. John White says it, and we shouldn't really. He's right. We shouldn't look away, you know. Don't look away. This is the face of the slaughter of an indigenous people in the name not of defence, but of white supremacy, settler colonialism, and Zionism. Zionism is the fascism of our time. The West is complicit. Just evil bastards. And I mean, we've seen so many images, and God rest the soul of this person who's passed away there. But I mean, and it's almost, you know, a tragically iconic image in some way. It's horrific, and there are no words. There are no words, and there are no excuses. And this failure of our political class and the media are complicit. Those who work in media, and you know, you many of those people, I think it's probably a worthy comparison to make, that those that work as cogs in the machine of military tech or arms manufacturing have a significant role to play, clearly. But those that work in the propagandising section of our media, and those who frame the ideas of how we're supposed to, or the public consciousness, you have a part to play as well, you know, for propagandising for Israel and you know, downplaying what's going on for the Palestinians. It's too much to really comprehend in many ways. I think we're drawing to an end for the morning, for this morning's capers. If anybody wants to suggest anything. Bob, have you ever heard of the Flores Magon brothers from Mexico? I don't believe so. Free the weed, says John Muir. No, I don't believe I have heard of them. I'll look them up. I think I'm going to wind it up this morning there, folks. There's I'm going to. It was today is the heavenly birthday of Natalie Hendry, who was my friend, my dear friend, in many ways, for many years, my muse. She was a profoundly talented artist, someone that I loved to work with back in the day. She formed part of Project Bonafide, which was the group I played out with the other day. And I'm gonna leave us. I'm gonna leave it. I had put it on my story. I've got it on my Instagram thing here. I noticed. I think it was down here when I was looking for stuff. When I went through me music and stuff that was here. When I went down this, I'll put that back there for a second. I went. I think it was down at the bottom somewhere. Scanning through my. Oh well, there's the Terence McKenna thing. I'll come back to Terence tomorrow. I was listening to Terence when I was walking here this morning, which is something that I often do. Oh, there we go. There it's there. So I'll leave us now. I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you so much to everyone who has joined me this morning. We've got a decent amount of folk today. Good for a Monday. I'm going to leave out. It's Natalie's birthday today. It's she was born on the 12th of the 8th, 1988. So work out how old would she have been today. She would have been like 36 maybe or something, or 35 or 36. I'm not sure. Anyway, this was the first track. I had put this up. Maybe like at the time at which she had passed away, I'd put this up, and this was I think this was the first track that well, it was. Am I back? It was the first track that I had ever recorded with her, but this was like an unfinished track. If I remember, it was just like it had been a dub poem. This guy George Prophet was like this Jamaican dub poet guy, a singer as well, and he'd written this dub poem, which is traditionally like a spoken word type thing. And I remember I was like, she was like 16, I think, and it was like I just played the keys and like started the vibe, and this was the track, and then I got Colin Steele to put some trumpet on it like a few months later. So it's a kind of unfinished vibe, but this is a wee dedication to Nats, and I'll play this out. And thanks so much for everyone who's turned up this morning, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Oh, I need to go back to this again. I've been locked out.
Won't you speak, just dance, just to speak and cry.